Okay, good morning. In the Zoom era, it's kind of challenging to give a shir because I have no idea who's here, who's not here. I have no idea if I'm putting you to sleep. I'm not putting you to sleep. But on the other hand, there's an advantage to that because, if it's boring, it's boring. You go get your coffee, get your thing. So there's advantages and disadvantages to this Zoom session. So the topic today is, will the world be normal again? And by the way, if anybody has any questions, just unmute yourself or chat in the chat box. If you have any questions in the middle, in the beginning, I literally have no idea who I'm talking to. So that's wonderful. That's great. Okay. So first of all, it's an honor and privilege to join this post-SEM Girls. Topic is my life, will my life be normal again? So let's just start with a little anecdote. Nothing about my life is normal. Those of you who know me, and again, I have no idea who I'm talking to, know that I have triplets. So after we had 5 children, we are shluchim in Manhattan, New York. After we had 5 children, my wife suspected she was pregnant. She went to the doctor, and the doctor confirmed she was pregnant. So we were ecstatic. Child number 6 on the way. That's amazing. So the doctor says, you did the blood test, said come back next week just in case because the numbers are high. So she went back the following week and the doctor said, well, actually in the ultrasound there's twins there. So, but just come back next week just to make sure. So my wife went back the following week, the 3rd week, and the doctor said, well, there's triplets there. She came home, told me there's triplets. The first words out of my mouth were, do not go to that doctor again next week. So nothing about our lives, 8 kids, Baruch Hashem, in Manhattan with tiny apartments is normal. But when that happened, so somebody sent me a message. There was a video that I posted 2 years before we gave birth to triplets. In that video, I was buying a lottery ticket. I share videos for the communities. I was buying a lottery ticket, and it was for the $1.5 billion Super Bowl. So I said, in the video, I said, there's more chance of my wife giving birth to quadruplets, and she's 9 months pregnant. There's more chance of her giving birth to quadruplets than me winning the lottery. And statistically, that was true. So my 5th daughter was born, and the triplets were born 2 years to the day, Vav Shvat, to the day after she was born. So since then, nothing about my life is normal. I don't take risks. I don't take chances. So the topic today, will my life be normal again? And, the last normal thing we did was, having triplets very difficult. So the last normal thing we kind of did, we went to South Africa just before this whole coronavirus, but I think it was Shabbos Parshat Tetzaveh. My nephew had a bar mitzvah, so we decided to all go, the whole family. And this was 2 years after the trip to the born. We didn't think we were able to do this even, but we did it. So, the reason why we were hesitating is because I had a question, how are we getting just from my apartment to JFK? How is that possible? We have 2 hands. Who's holding the triplets? Who's holding the babies? Who's holding the luggage? But we did it. So we're on the plane. As we get on, we lost to board. Everybody's telling us down the aisle, oh my God, those babies, they are so adorable. That little girl, her blue eyes, beautiful, beautiful children you have. I can tell you that 15 hours, because South Africa has 15 hours, of non-stop crying on that plane, and there was nobody on talking terms with us anymore. There was a lady right behind us. She fell asleep with her fingers in her ears. That's how she fell asleep. When you leave the plane, so the stewardesses always tell you, thank you so much. It was so nice to see you. We look forward to welcoming you again on SAA. When we left, not a word. My sister, who's a Rebbetzin Shochat in South Africa, so she was talking in the conference room with another teacher, and the teacher said her brother was on a plane, and there were triplets, and they were crying non-stop, and my sister's like, I don't know what you're talking about, never heard of this. Anyways, so let's get back to the topic. The topic today is, will the world be normal again? If you look at everything that's happened the last few months, you realize that nothing is normal. There isn't a single person in the entire universe that hasn't been affected by this coronavirus. And, just to start off, Hashem feels our pain. We know Shchinta Begalusa. Start off with a little story. So, the story is told about Rabbi Yitzchak Vorki. He was a very close friend of the Kotzker Rebbe. So his son, Rabbi Yitzchak Vorki, when he passed away, his son, Reb Mendel Vorki, For 30 days, he hadn't heard anything from his father. You know, his father died. He hadn't heard anything from him in a dream, even. So he went to the Kotzker Rebbe, who was a very, very close friend of Rabbi Yitzchak Vorki, and he asked him, have you seen my father? You heard from him? The Kotzker Rebbe said that I was also worried when I hadn't heard from him. So I had an aliyah saneshama. I went to sleep and my neshama went up, and I went and I saw in heaven the place of Rashi. And I asked Rashi, have you seen my friend Kotzker Rebbe? And Rashi said, yes, I've seen him. He was here, but he left. So he went to a further chamber and he sees the Rambam. He says to the Rambam, did you see the Kotzker Rebbe? And he says, yes, he was here and he left. And he goes to another chamber to Moshe Rabbeinu and he says, he was here, but he left. And then he finally sees the Malach Gavriel. And he says to Gavriel, have you seen my friend the Kotzker Rebbe? And the angel said, yes, he was here. And if you go down through that forest, right at the very end of the forest, you'll find him. So the Kotzker Rebbe goes all the way to the end of the forest and he sees a big, big ocean. And on the beach, so to speak, the Kotzker Rebbe sees his friend Rabbi Yitzchak Vorki. And he says to him, hi, what are you doing here? What is this? So Rabbi Yitzchak Vorki said, you see this? This is the valley of tears. This is all the tears from all the Taurus and all the pain and persecutions and troubles and people dying. All the pain of Am Yisrael is here, and Hashem kind of collects these tears in this big valley of tears, this big ocean. And this is where it is. And I swear that I will never move from here until God dries up these tears. That's the story. So the point of the story is that Shechinta Begalusa, Hashem is with us in our exile. Hashem feels our pain. Hashem knows that this is not normal. And today we need to answer the question, will the will be normal again? So the first thing is we need to define the meaning of the word normal. So let's go in depth to Chassidus over here, to the screen. Okay, this is a sikha. If anybody wants to look it up afterwards, the sikha, Likutei Sichas Chelek Vav Yisroi Beis. The entire sikha is beautiful. It's incredible sikha. Let's just learn parts of it, which are negaya to our discussion of if the world will be normal again. So Seif Beis, by the way, I am watching the chat just to see if anybody has questions. So that is if I figure it out. Okay, Seif Beis. Noch a plukte is dort zwischen dieselbe Tanoim, Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Akiva. There's another machlokes between Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Akiva. The first machlokes I'm not going to go into now. It's a beautiful idea in connection with Matan Torah. If you look at the verse in Parshas Yisro, B'chol ha'am ro'im es hakolos, the whole nation, the whole Am Yisrael saw the voices, right? Chol ha'am ro'im es hakolos. That's a problem. You don't see voices. So Zok Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Shmuel says he learns pshat. What does it mean? They saw the voices. Ro'im hanireh, v'shoymim hanishma. They saw what is normally seen and they heard what is normally heard. The voice, the verse, the pasuk doesn't mean they saw what is heard. It means they saw what is normally seen, right? Thunder, lightning, whatever you normally see, and they heard the thunder. That's what you normally hear. They heard that. As the word roim, but tzitzich needs some word koilos. The word roim doesn't refer to the voices, nor to lapidim, it refers to those torches, which steht weiter in pasuk, which says further in the pasuk. On the other hand, the voices that are something that is heard, that they heard, they didn't see it. Rabbi Akiva argues. He says roim hanishma v'shoyim hanira. He says they saw what is normally heard, and they heard what is normally seen. As die Keules, beteva adover hanishma, voices which are normally heard, haben sie gesehen, they saw. Und die Lapidim, azach von nira, and that which is normally seen, haben sie gehört, they heard it. Okay, this is a famous machlokes, Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Akiva, about Matan Torah, if they saw what is seen, or they heard what is heard. That's the machlokes. Okay? So ask the Rebbe a question over here. I'm trying to get used to my screen here. Ask the Rebbe a question. Hashem doesn't do any miracles for nothing, for no reason. Since this is the case, we have to say, as the nes von the miracle of seeing that which is heard and hearing that which is seen, is given of a noisef to union from Matan Torah. It's not an additional miracle, so to speak, to Matan Torah. From Dan Volt is given Nisla Magino, because then it would be a miracle for nothing. No, Das is given a nes was is a tale from dominion from Matan Torah. This was a miracle which was part of Matan Torah. Matan Torah der Haupt Eden zu die höchste Madreges. Matan Torah raises a Yid to the highest levels. Und als Tail und Titzof und dem Tachlis So'ilu is the Dash of Akiva Roines Anishma B'Shem Nira as part and parcel of that beautiful elevation. According to Rabbi Akiva, they saw what is heard, they heard what is seen. In other words, according to Rabbi Akiva, the normal, and this is a key for our discussion, the normal was that they saw what is seen and they heard what is normally seen. In other words, it wasn't that there was a special miracle taking place over here. When you had these galus elikus, this is what happened naturally. This was the norm. And that's also how we have to explain Rabbi Yishmael. As the Pirushoi is the Baal the Pasuk is das Media bekesher mit Matan Torah, as but them Tachlis So'ilu from Matan Torah is also tell their fun and at the top after their own from Reis Nir B'Shem Nishma. On the other hand, we have to explain Rabbi Yishmael, which we're going to get to later, that what means they saw what is seen and heard what is heard is also a natural, so to speak, extension. So them oifen agilu haben die even zeichen event by Matan Torah. Das ist doch the same whatever. That's the natural thing, to see what is seen and hear what is heard. That's the natural thing. So, contra Rabbi Yishmael, we're really going to have to explain what that means exactly. Okay, Gimel, I'm going to skip out Sif Gimel because it's to do with the first Machloikes Rabbi Yishmael, Rabbi Akiva. So we don't need to do that. Okay, I'm going to go to Sif Dalet over here. This is a really, really nice Sikha. I have no idea, again, who I'm talking to. I have no idea if you guys learned it, you didn't learn it. Even if you learned it, it's good for Chazara. And even if you did learn it, I'm going to explain it today, how it's negea to the coronavirus era. So you can still listen. Just trying to see here a second. Hold on. Okay, I'm just monitoring the chat here just to see if anybody has questions at all. Okay. Back to the Sikha. So they saw what is seen and they heard what is heard. Says Sifdal, wird man es verstehen, will explain this from the Hasbara, from the Chiluki Agdorim zwischen Re'iyah and Shmiya. If we understand what the difference between seeing and hearing is, we will understand this idea of Rabbi Akiva first. First, we're going to explain Rabbi Akiva. Der Chiluk b'negea dimension was his Roya or the Shemiya. There's two differences between Re'iyah and Shmiya. Okay, one difference is the Gavra, and the other one is Chefta. Okay, one is Gavra, one is Chefta. So, Benegea the Gavra, Benegea the person. What's the difference between seeing something and hearing something? So, the difference number one is in the person himself, in the person herself. When I see something, it's engraved in my eyes, in my head, much deeper than when I hear something. Which is why the Gemara says, Ein eid nase dayan. You cannot have a witness become a judge. So if you have a witness who witnesses a crime happening, let's say he sees Mr. X murdering Mr. Y. So he cannot come now and hear judgment and be a dayan in this case because no argument will be able to convince him that Mr. X never murdered Mr. Y. He saw it. On the other hand, if he only heard it, he can be convinced that this never happened. So let's look inside. Der Chiluk b'negea dimension versus Re'iyah der Shemiya. The difference between a person who sees or hears. Number one, Re'iyah der lang tiefer nefesh haroyah. Seeing is much deeper in the soul of the person who sees it.
12 days.
12 days.
What is that? Okay, und b'meile mit mehr Gewisskeit, automatically it's much more certainty. Wie das ist bei Shmiya than is by hearing it. Then a mensch zet mit die Augen as die Sache ist also, when a person sees with his eyes that this is this thing, that him kein schon Seichel dicke aufklären, nicht überzeigen as die Sache ist anders. Nothing, no explanation, al pi Seichel can explain to him that this never happened. Warum der Biru von Re'iyah wird abgelegt in Nefesh, as sach tiefer und vados dicker wie der Biru Seichel. Because when it's seeing, it's engraved in my soul, in the very fiber of my being. As it comes in the halacha lemaisa, that a witness cannot be a judge, as I explained before. On the other hand, when you hear something, it doesn't belong so deeply in the soul. It's not so engraved in your soul. So difference number one between seeing and hearing is that when you see something, it's engraved in the fiber of your being. When you hear something, it's not so much. The second difference is in what you see, in the chefza. What do I see versus what do I hear? And the answer is I see physical. I see something tangible. I hear something more spiritual, more abstract. Let's look at it inside. The difference between them, between the thing that is seen and the thing that is heard. When you see, it's seeing physical. Durch Re'iyah is a toifes. Through Re'iyah, he grasps a dover gashmi. Shmiya, but on the other hand, when you hear something, it cannot grasp something physical. Der Geherte calls Ruchni stickel gabe the gashmis, but the Nira Mikolshkin is this as the Seichel der Her is an in Ruchni. So it's something more spiritual. Now we can understand. Let's just look one more paragraph. These two differences between Re'iyah and Shmiya are dependent one on the other. Der Mensch is doch a gashmistic mitzias. The person, the human being, is a physical mitzias. Is the Riba natürlich, therefore naturally is all of them and right? The person, the physical person, because he is physical, grasps, sees something physical through seeing. Mehr Neuigkeit und Grundigkeit wie hat aber Ruchni, much more than something spiritual. Zu Ruchnies ist der Mensch nicht genanntlich, und der vernimmt es durch Schmier, durch und weiter von dem ist. So because the human being is more physical, so to speak, so spiritual things are more abstract to him. So let's just dissect this for a moment, because this is absolutely brilliant. Okay, so let's talk about this for a moment. So first of all, according to this, right, when you see something, it's physical. When you hear something, it's more abstract. So the Rebbe explains, according to this, that at Matan Torah, when God gave the Torah, the Yidden were, so to speak, zapped by such an intense level of spirituality that they saw, according to Rebbe Kiva, what is normally heard. What is normally heard? Gashmis. I'm sorry, Ruchnius, something abstract. And they heard what is normally seen. Gashmius was foreign from them. And I'm going to give a story to explain this. So I think it was Rabbi Yitzchak Barditchev who one time met a Jew who was sinning. He was Baal Taiva, Baal Avera, he was sinning. So Rabbi Yitzchak, who was the Oyev Yisrael, always found a reason to love the Jews, says to the Eibishter, look, what do you want from this guy? The reason why he's sinning is because in front of his eyes, what do you place? Taivas. Whatever your taiva is, that's what Hashem places in front of your eyes. But where do you put Gan Eden and Ruchnius and the Eibishter, and of course in the Sfarim, in the books, like you have a shir once a week on Zoom or once a day on Zoom. So that's the Sfarim. But says Rabbi Yitzchak, if you would reverse the roles, if in front of his eyes you would put Elikus and Gan Eden and Maimarim, Chassidus and Rebbe, and in the books you'd put Taivas, he wouldn't sin. That is exactly what happened in Matan Torah, according to Rabbi Kiva. The Elokus, the Gilu, was what's called Elokus b'pshitis u'metzias b'yischachus. Das Elin, das Tachten, Mimale Soivev, in Ma'aban, in the word terminology of Kabbalah and Chassidus. So let's just analyze that. Das Elin, das Tachten. So das Elin is Elokus b'pshitis u'metzias b'yischachus. Also the Eibishter about it's Elokus b'pshitis. Elokus is obvious. Metzias is b'yischachus. Das Tachten says, it's exact other way around. Elokus is behischachus. Metzias is bepshitis. Das Tachten says, Metzias is bepshitis. How do I know the world exists? Because I'm here. Like the famous story between the Chassid and Misnagid. There was once a Chassid talking to Misnagid. They're talking about the Eibishter. Does he exist? Where does he exist? How does he exist? In what way does he exist? And arguing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. At the end of the argument, the Chassid says to Misnagid, listen, I have to go. But I'll leave you off with one statement that I'm sure you will agree with me. He says to him, you as a Misnagid are thinking the whole day about the Eibishter. And me as a Chassid, I'm thinking the whole day about myself. So Misnagid thinks it means that I'm more spiritual because I'm thinking about the Eibishter. He's thinking about himself. Good, I agree. So Misnagid goes home, spends a restless night, and in the morning, 6 a.m., knocks on the Chassid's door and says, tell me what you meant. I need to know what you meant because I know, you weren't just giving in on the argument, so to speak. Tell me what you meant. So the Chassid says like this. He says, a baby is born, the Gemara says, with its fists clenched, signifying I'm going to conquer the world, I'm going to become rich and powerful and famous. I'm going to be powerful and famous. The person passes away, by the way, like this, with these palms like this, signifying I'm taking nothing to the grave but the Torah and mitzvahs that I've done. So a baby is born. Naturally, if my little finger hurts, the world has to stop, right? The world has to stop. My finger's hurting. But if Rahman al-Islam, somebody else is sick and dying, so I'll visit them, I'll daven for them, I'll give tzedakah for them. But do I really care like it's me? I don't. Right? The cutest thing with my babies, my triplets, any baby, for example, is 2-year-old child, take a toy, it's mine. The world revolves around me. Why are in all hotels, you see mirrors. In the fanciest hotels, you see mirrors, because what do people want to see? Themselves. That's what they want to see. So mirrors sell well. So a baby is born with its first clenched thing, I'm going to become powerful and feminine. That's how we live our lives. All around me, me. The world evolves around me. That is called mitzias bipshitas. So says the chassid to Misnagid, who are you thinking of the whole day long? The Eibishter. How does the Eibishter fit in my world? What does the Eibishter have to do with me? So I'm thinking about the Eibishter the whole day long. But a chassid who knows, who learns chassidus and knows that the Eibishter exists. So elikus is bipshitas, godliness is the norm, is the natural, so to speak. Who does he think about the whole day long? Himself. What role do I play in God's world? That is called das tachten. That's called the elikus bipshitas and mitzias b'yitzchachas. In fact, how does a chassid know that the world even exists? Because it's a proof. It says Bereshit bara Elokim es hashamayim v'haaretz. In the beginning, Hashem created heaven and earth. That's how I know that there's b'chalal a world out there. By the way, this is what it says. The norm, so to speak. It says one of the Tanoim, I think it was Rabbi Yochanan, he was sick, he was ill, and he had like what's called a clinical death. And when he had it, when he woke up, so to speak, his talmidim, his students, they asked him, "What did you see?" He says, "Olam hafuch ra'isi." I saw an upside down world, a not normal world, so to speak. So they said, "What do you mean?" So he said, "Those people who are respected in this world are nothing in the world to come. And those who are nothing in this world, nobody looks at them, are respected in the world to come." So he says, I saw a not normal world, right? Those who are rich and powerful and famous and politicians who are respected in this world are nothing. So his talmidim or his students or his peers said to him, Olam baru ra'isa, that is the norm. That is what's normal. What's normal is to respect people who do Torah and mitzvahs. They are downtrodden in this world. And that's how it is in Olam Ha'emes. So is the world going to be normal again? According to Rabbi Akiva, at Matan Torah, the world was normal. Elikus b'pshitas and mitzias b'yitzchachas, that is the norm. That is what the world's all about. Everything in this world is not normal, as it says in the story, Olam hafuch ra'isa. This world is upside down. See, pre-corona, we entertained ourselves. We thought about this, about that, about the other. The entire world has to be different. The way we entered the corona cannot be the way we exit it. You know, there's a famous, powerful story about the Kloisenberger Rebbe who lost his wife and 11 kids in the Holocaust. And one time they asked him, what was the hardest day of the Holocaust for you? So remember, we're talking about a person who lost his wife and 11 kids, was tortured, lost thousands of Chassidim. He rebuilt his whole Chassidus empire afterwards, sons Kloisenberg in Israel, and as well as Borough Park. By the way, his wife, who he married after the Holocaust, she was 20 years younger than him, I think, but she's passed away now from the coronavirus. So that he passed away like 20 years ago. So they asked him, what was the hardest day of the Holocaust for you? So he said, the day I was liberated. So they're like, what? The day you were liberated? What do you mean? How about the day you nearly died? How about the day your wife and 11 children were gassed in the gas chambers? How about the day you lost all your Chassidim? How about the day they beat you up? The Germans beat him up. There's a couple of famous stories about that. And he says, as long as I'm not doing the torturing, we are the Amanivchar. Anyway, so he said, the day I was liberated. Why? Because every day that I was in the Holocaust, I thought to myself, what gave me chizuk and strength was that the day I exit the gates is going to be Mashiach. The only person coming to liberate me is going to be Mashiach. It's impossible that the world I go out of, the world I exit, is going to be the same world as this is now. And when the Americans came to liberate me, that was the hardest day of the Holocaust for me, because I realized the Americans are just not Mashiach, and it's the same world we're going back into. Powerful lesson for us. I want to show you a Maimer of the Rebbe on this point itself. Hold on. But just to explain what we just did till now, you know what, let me just show you that mimer first. Hold on. I'm going to show you that mimer. So this is a mimer. It's Tafshin Chavdaled, Shabbos Yisroi, it's Bilti Muga. The Rebbe said there was actually the context of the mimer, there were three Chassidim who came to 770 during that time. One of them was my wife's grandfather, Zalman Jaffe. I think it was Mendel Futterfass was another one, the third one I forget. and they just Mendel had just exited basically from the Soviet Union, from Russia, from the KGB. So the Maimer itself is beautiful gold. I'm not going to do the whole Maimer now. I'm just going to do Sif Dalet here, which is a beautiful, beautiful Sif, very powerful, beautiful. This has been going around, by the way. I think Rabbi Kantor pointed it out to the Shluchim worldwide from Thailand. Beautiful Maimer, here it is. V'hinei, gam le'acharei churban, also after the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash, shenisharu li pleito pei zayin mitzvahs asei bilvad, that there's only 87 mitzvahs left. So again, there's 613 mitzvahs, 248 positive, 365 negative. Out of the 248 positive mitzvahs, the only amount that we could do today is 87, right? Because most of the mitzvahs asei are only shayach, only applicable to the Beis HaMikdash. By the way, does anybody know how many of those 87 are shayach today? If you do, just chat to me. And my question is the following, right? There's 87 mitzvahs which are shayach to do these days. But out of those 87, not all the mitzvahs are applicable to all Jews at all times. Why is that? Because take, for example, the mitzvah to bris your child. Not every person is married and not everybody has sons. Some people have daughters. So that mitzvah is not applicable to every Jew. Let's talk about the mitzvah of paying your employees on time. Not every Jew has employees. What about the mitzvah of shechita? I've never shechted before. So there's many mitzvahs that are not applicable for all Jews at all times. So how many mitzvahs are applicable to, can I share the mime on the screen? Is it not shared? Do you not see it? How many mitzvahs are applicable to all Jews at all times? The answer is 40. There's 40 mitzvahs which are applicable to all Jews at all times. Okay, I think everybody can see the mimer here. If not, just let me know. So there's 40 mitzvahs, I say, which are applicable to all Jews at all times. So it's easy, right? Only 40 mitzvahs. But the truth is, one of those mitzvahs, I believe, is to listen to the Rabbanim. So all the mitzvahs, I say, the Rabbanim are really part of those. But anyways, so the Rebbe writes like this. After the Churban Beis HaMikdash, that there were... One second, what is going on here? This chapter, hold on. We can't see it. We just have to do new share. Okay, hold on 1 second. Sorry about that. Let me try this again. He's showing Mimer. Do you see it now? Just chat me if you see this Mimer in front of you. Yes, okay, good. Right, okay. So even after the Churban, that there's 87 mitzvahs asay alone left, not 248. And we see from Midas Adin lekatrig v'loymar. So the Midas Adin so is mikatrig and says shigam mitzvahs say lemikayim bnei Yisrael. Rak beoifen the mitzvahs anoshim melumda, that these mitzvahs the yidn are mikayim them beoifen the melumda. In other words, you're used to it. Like right, you from your whole life, so you daven, you keep Shabbos, you keep kosher. It's like mitzvahs anoshim melumda. There's no chayis, there's no vigor, there's no enthusiasm. The choser etzlam ha'in and the dechilu ruchimo. You're missing the love and fear. Shegam agadfim shal yodam parchal shem agadfim shal yodam parchal eila. That these are the wings that take the mitzvahs above. Velochen tainas midas adin, and therefore midas adin is taining. She is salik hakodesh baruch hu returning is baruch chas b'shalom. Afilum b'pei zayin mitzvahs shenisharu. So the midas adin said, let the Eibush take away even these 87 mitzvahs. And this is unbelievable what the Rebbe says here. Look carefully at this. This is unreal. I've never seen this before myself. In order to be mevatel this kitrug, noisen HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'lei malchei umas ha'olam. The Eibishter gives in the hearts of the kings of the universe, because remember, leiv melachim b'yad Hashem. Ligzar gzeira al kama Yisrael, to determine, to make decrees on Yidden. Asher gam imem muatim, even though the Yidden are the muatim in the world, arezek moshe gosav and ofel men rav shkol mashibol mem afilu yichidu choshev b'panei rav. That everything is rav before the Eibishter. Sheyu b'mayma dumatzav shelo yuchel l'kayim mitzvahs. The Midas Adin is Mekatrig and says that the Yidden will be in a situation that they'll be in a mayma and a matzav that they won't be able to fulfill mitzvahs, like in Russia and the Soviet Union, where they weren't allowed to keep Shabbos and keep kosher and do all the mitzvahs. So therefore, the Eibishter puts in the leiv of the kings of the Umay Soilam that this is what they'll do. What does that cause? She'az, because then a Yid, harehu mitzta'er. The Yid is mitzta'er v'tzoyek, and he screams al Hashem. Lama hoysa kadosh b'lefanov, why are you doing this to me? Shelo yuchol lekayim mitzvahs, why are you doing this to me? I can't fulfill the mitzvahs. Ba'oimroi, keili, lama azaftani, Eibishter, why have you abandoned me? Says the Rebbe, since he's mitzvah, and he's shouting and screaming on the non-ability to fulfill mitzvahs. This brings him like a deeper tainug pleasure and rotzen to do the mitzvahs. And now, when the Yid misses, when you tell a Yid you can't do this, he becomes like, oh my God, I want to do it. Like, for example, when you can't daven in shul during the coronavirus for 2 months, 3 months, I don't know, I've lost count how long it is already. So when you go back to shul, you are like excited. I love shul. Suddenly you have a love and fear for davening. Oh my God, I want to answer Kedusha, I want to answer Baruch Hu. This is now something that is negea in his pnimius and nefesh. Therefore, he is mitztair on the header of the kiyum. Therefore, afterwards, when he has an opportunity to do a mitzvah, he will do it with such a slavus. I remember seeing Reb Mendel Futterfass. He died on Gimel at Dalet Tammuz 1995, was 0 after Gimel Tammuz. I think Gimel Tammuz. I remember seeing him in Kfar Chabad, and I remember stories about him. One of the things was that, after spending 8 years in Siberia and the Gulag and coming out, and all the stories you all know about him, he used to go around in Kfar Chabad from minyan to minyan to minyan, just answering, Amen, Yesh Merabah, Amen, Kedusha, Baruch Hu, and he says, I'm just answering all these things to make up for all the time I wasn't able to do it. He was so excited to do it. Because till now he was in a situation where he was thirsting for it. He was in a desert where he is parched for water. And this is the Salik the Kitruk for the 87 mitzvahs. Okay, the rest you could read for yourself over here. We're running out of time, and I want to make sure I have still a lot of stuff to tell you guys today on this Zoom call. Okay, but I'm leaving the mimer here just if you want to all read it. Okay, but it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful mimer. Okay. So getting back to our topic. So we're in the middle of explaining. I'm going to take this off the screen for a minute and go back to that sikha. Okay, can you see the sikha here in front of you now? Sifay? Just put on the chat there, please. If you don't mind. Can you see the sikha? Sifay? I've put everybody to sleep already. Anybody want to chat? You could see it, not see it? Un ot? Un dos? Yes? No? Okay, I have put you all to sleep. Okay, that is wonderful. Second, let's see if anybody's here. I can. Okay, that's 11. Okay, fine. Okay, so you can see it. Fine. Sifei. Und das ist der Inyan, was machen der Eröffnung. This is the contrary of Akiva. What happened? They saw what is heard and heard what is seen. Das was is nishma. This that was normally heard was we can nemen blois mit shmir, that you can only take it with shmir. Oh gosh, we don't see it. Okay, 1 second. Hold on. Let me stop share and put it back. Hold on. Hold on. Share the screen again. Okay, you should be able to see it now. Just let me know if you don't. So this is what Rabbi Akiva is saying. They saw what is heard and they heard what is seen. Das ist nishma, was wir kennen nehmen, bloß mit Schmier, der Inyan von Ruchnis, Göttlichkeit, haben das die Jiden genommen mit der Gewisskeit und Muchschis von Ria, that they saw it. They haben gesehen Elikus, they saw God. You see, this was the norm. They saw Elikus. And das, was is Tom given near it, Varam Gashmim, this was normally seen, physical things. Die Gashmis, die Gebelt ist bei they dann gewinnt nicht mehr wie eine Neufung von Schmier. Wie gesagt, was werden bloß gehört oder verstanden. Okay? We are running out of time. I want to get to Rabbi Shmuel, the other side. So again, basically what the Rebbe is saying over here, Rabbi Akiva's Shitta is the deepest level, at Atzmus Mahus, the deepest levels of the Eibishter came down on the mountain. They revealed themselves to the physical Yid. So obviously, they saw Elokus. As I asked a Yid then, could you do an Aveira? It was impossible. This was not Shaykh. By the way, how come they did an Aveira 40 days later with Egil Azov? The Rebbe brings many explanations. One of the explanations is that this whole Gilui was mitzad the Eibishter. It wasn't something they worked on themselves. In other words, it was something that the Eibishter Kilu zapped them. It was milamala lamato. It wasn't milamata lamala. So for the next 4,000 years, our goal, our job is to penetrate, permeate ourselves with Elokus, with the deepest levels of Hashem, that we will reach this level on our own. By the way, that's the whole idea of coronavirus. Will the world be normal again? It's up to us. Get it? Again, will the world be normal again? It's up to us. In other words, what's normal? Kilu Elikus. Elikus bepshitis and Matthias Bizchachus. What happened here by Matan Torah? Will the world be normal again? That's our job. That's our role. That is what we're supposed to be doing. We are supposed to be permeating the world with Elikus in a way that it will be like this. Okay, I'm just going to bring over here. Okay, Bob, I'll skip out of here. Also, again, I recommend you learn it afterwards. Bob. Seif Ches. Okay, let's talk about Rabbi Shmuel. Okay, the other side of the coin, Rabbi Shmuel. Okay, so what does Rabbi Shmuel say? Rabbi Akiva is incredible. He's amazing. Rabbi Akiva is absolutely amazing. Rabbi Akiva says that what they had to do at Matan Torah is megale elokus, is bring elokus in a way that they saw godliness. Ro'im es hanishma, they saw what is normally heard, and they heard what is normally seen, right? Gashmis, Taivis, they heard that. It wasn't. So what does Rabbi Shmuel say? What does Rabbi Shmuel say? We have to explain Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi explains here Rabbi Shmuel. Sif Zayin. Al pi ze darf man verstehen das Rabbi Shmuel. According to this, we have to explain what does Rabbi Shmuel hold. Was for an Ilui? What kind of elevation? Befrat Ilui de Matan Torah. Was das is doch Tachlis Ilui. Matan Torah is a Tachlis Ilui, as we explained. And remember, we said that the contract became this is not even a miracle. It wasn't like the Eibush did a miracle. It was like a natural extension. So, according to Rabbi Shmuel, in them, what kind of miracle was to see what is normally seen and hear what is normally heard? Hello, that's not a miracle. Is there beer in them? The explanation is their oiftu from Matan Torah is what's the whole kavanah of Matan Torah. By Yered Hashem al Har Sinai, Hashem going down to the mountain, the Elikus going down, and Shochas Elikus Amata bringing the Eibush down in this world, as it's all Nimshach ver Elikus in Welt, that godliness should come into the world. Dafke wie Welt verbleibt in ihre Teva Gedorim. It has to be in a way that the Teva remains Teva. You bring God into the world. You don't shatter the world. You don't break down the world. The world remains the world. The world remains exactly the way it is. We go to work. We daven in the world. We bring a Kedusha Elikus into the world. I want to tell you a story about this. Okay, just a story about this. So my brother, again, I have no idea who I'm talking to. So my brother is a doctor in Israel. His name is Dr. Moti Vigler. Oh, we don't see it. Oh, sorry. Okay. His name is Dr. Moti Vigler in Israel. So my brother, he learned hard in college, he's a hand surgeon. So he's a Lubavitcher Chassid. For whatever reason, he went into college. I'm not going to get into that now. But bottom line is, when he does surgeries, when he sees a patient, he puts on tefillin with the person. Always puts on tefillin, and he puts on more tefillin than I can possibly, me and my brothers as well, full-time shluchim. He puts on more tefillin because nobody says no to a professor who's got the MBBCH and all those funny letters afterwards, and he says to them, I'm a hand surgeon, so I can treat you, but you want to know what the real refuah is? Real refuah is to put on tefillin. So nobody refuses him, and he has karkaftas, and people will never tefillin their whole lives. So recently, the left wing in Israel found out about this, and they sent one of the chadashot, so to speak, sent what's called tachkiran. They sent like an investigator. So they sent a guy called Liran, who's an undercover journalist with a hidden camera. And he made an appointment with my brother, and he says, oh, my hand is hurting me. And my brother looks at it, and my brother sees right away that there's no problem with his hand. So he says to him, okay, you want to know what the real thing is? The real thing is put on tefillin. And the guy says, really? Will that help? Will that help my hand? My brother says, yes. And he was like egging him on. So he put on tefillin with him on camera, and he said, Shema Yisrael, Shem Hashem Echad. And then my brother says to him, you want to buy a pair of tefillin? He says, yeah, where do I buy one? And we have a cousin in Israel, the Sefer. So he says, here's the number of my cousin, go buy. And my brother has a deal, so to speak, with my cousin, that anybody who buys tefillin, my brother's going to sponsor half. So he's donating half the pair of tefillin. So he says to the guy, normally it costs like 1,000 shekels, but you can buy it for 500 shekels. So this is all on the news, and they made a channel at 8 p.m. They made a massive deal about this. They discovered a doctor who's saying to people, what's the refuah in the world in your hand? To put on tefillin. So this was like a big outroar. By the way, the owner of the hospital, my brother's boss, so to speak, who was an Arab, told my brother the next morning, he said, listen, we're going to do officially an investigation against you, but trust me, don't worry, everything's fine, and I'm going to make sure that don't worry about a thing. The Arab said. But I wrote an article then, and I wrote like a letter, so to speak. I said to Liran, who, his real name is Liran, I'm sorry, he came in as Moshe. I said that really, what's going on over here is that you came in as Moshe, But really, 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 you are Liran the Jew. You came in as Moshe the fraudster, but really you are Liran the Jew. What do I mean you came in as Moshe the fraudster? Because when you came into my brother, you came in as a liar. But for one moment, look at that one moment where you put on tefillin and you said Shema Yisrael. That is one moment of emes. That is one moment of emes amongst all your falsehoods. You came as in a lie, and you came to lie, and you came to kind of bring my brother, tell the world my brother's putting on tefillin with people. But that was one moment of emes inside of you. See, our job, our role is to permeate the world with elokus. So my brother does it through putting on tefillin with people. But our job, our role, is to make the world normal by permeating the entire universe with godliness. And I want to mention another story here. There's, we bring wounded soldiers to our community here in New York. It's called Belev Echad. So anyway, a couple of years ago, there was a soldier by the name of Yarin Ashkenazi. We brought him to New York. And this Yarin is a sergeant in the Givati Brigade, Special Forces, and he was injured in 2015, right after Operation Protect the Red. He was injured, and a car was going 70 miles an hour. Terrorist, Yarin was able to kind of shoot at the car, causing it to overturn, but it still crashed into him in a very powerful way and injured him severely in the head and legs. So the terrorist then exited the car, and he had an axe, and he wanted to kill Yarin, Rahman al-Tzan. There's a fellow junior officer there. The junior officer was able to shoot the terrorist. He was able to what's called neutralize him, didn't kill him. By the way, afterwards, this terrorist went in front of a judge and he claimed, I didn't take my sugar that day, and that kind of thing. Oh, 1 second. What was the outcome of my brother? Did your brother continue doing tefillin, or do you have to stop? My brother continued in a big shturim to put on tefillin with people. He didn't stop at all. Okay. By the way, that mimer over here, where's that sikha? That sikha is Likutei Sichas Chelek Vav, the second sikha. Likutei Sichas Chelek Vav, the second sikha. And the mimer is Tafshin Chavdalat Bilti Mugan. So back to the story of Yarin. So Yarin came on the trip to New York, and we took them to all New York's famous attractions, which, by the way, the city that never sleeps is now sleeping. All the Broadway shows, all the Gashmi, Soilam Hazeh, kosher fun. Anyway, one of the things we did to them, we took them to the oil. So I asked him, how was the oil? How was the experience? So he said, my nicest thing, the highlight of my trip was going to the oil. And I was shocked. The highlight was going to the oil, not the Empire State Building, not Broadway shows, not helicopterized private planes. The highlight was the oil. So I said, what did you daven for? And listen carefully to an injured soldier. Brilliant answer. He says, I prayed that I should be chazak b'Torah u'mitzvot. I prayed that I should be strong in Torah and mitzvot. So I said to him, did it work? So he says that ever since his injury in 2015, I think he was on a trip last 2017, but ever since his injury in 2015, he always said that I can't keep Shabbos. I just can't keep Shabbos. I can't bring myself to keep Shabbos. But this Shabbos in Manhattan, on this Belev Echad trip, was the first Shabbos he was able to keep since the injury. He wasn't able to keep Shabbos because, why did the Abishah do this to me? We can never judge somebody like this. But why did Hashem do this to me? Why was I injured so severely? Remember, he has this terrible pain all over him. He has what's called chronic pain. So I was astounded. Here was a person who suffered so much. That, by the way, when he had the injury, the doctors tried to revive him 3 times. 3 times. On the 3rd time, they said, if it's not successful now, we're just going to leave him. That's how badly he was injured. They tried to revive him 3 times, and on the 3rd time they were there. They had to literally reattach his skull, teach him how to walk and talk and eat and laugh and smile again. Basic functions. So when presented with the opportunity, what do you daven for? I should be chazak b'Torah mitzvot. I thought he'd pray for refuah shlema. So I told him the famous story that you all know about the kid, Mishalovin. The 16-year-old child in Russia. He sent a letter to the Rebbe. And the Rebbe made a whole storm about it from Simchas Torah, and he said, I received the letter. And the famous song, right? The boy did not beg for an easier life, even though he was suffering tremendously in Russia. What did he daven for? That I shouldn't have machshavas zaros in davening. So I told Yarin, the Rebbe received such a letter from you, that I should be chazak in Torah and mitzvot. I shouldn't have any problems in my davening. So the idea is to permeate the world with Torah and mitzvahs. Now, it's hard work. I think this is the Montreal post-SEM girls from Montreal. By the way, I was supposed to learn yeshiva in Montreal. I always had visa problems, visa issues. I was never able to get through the border. But last summer or 2 summers ago, I went to visiting day in Montreal to visit my son in camp. And on the way flying out of Montreal, we had the triplets, as I explained before, we had triplets, and it was like hard to navigate. I went with me and my wife. So we found babysitters and we found care for them. And the next morning we had a flight, I think it was like 5 or 6 a.m. to come back to New York. So we went Sunday, left the 8 kids by themselves with somebody we trust. And then the next morning we had a flight 6 a.m. We were supposed to be back 8 a.m. and the babysitter was supposed to work, everything was supposed to be perfect. So as we come to the airport, there's a sign, I think it was Air Canada, there was a sign there which said, or as we check in, there was somebody which says, we are overbooked. We're looking for people to give up their tickets. If you are able to do it, do it. So I didn't even pay attention to that because there's no way I'm coming on a later flight when I went through all this ordeal for the babysitters and the triplets. So I started davening because it was too early to daven when I left for the airport. So I started davening in the airport. My wife's there, on the phone, whatever. And we hear an announcement. An announcement said, we are 18 people overbooked. We are offering gift vouchers of $600 to anybody who wants to give up their seats. We'll book you on the next available flight. That was in the Montreal airport. So we looked at each other. As tempting as $1,200 was, I was still in the middle of davening. $1,200, triplets, there's no way I'm doing it. Forget about it. Minutes later, we hear an announcement. They said, we need 12 people. We are 12 people overbooked. We need 12 people. We're willing to pay $1,000 per ticket. And you have the option of using it on Amazon. So by us, Amazon is cash, right? So you have the option of using it. So the offer was very, very tempting. $2,000, we buy anything on Amazon. But thinking again about the logistics back home and the babysitters, we said, forget it. Not long after this, they announced that they have 6 more people and they're offering $1,300 each. So this really grabbed my attention. $2,600 cash? I mean, that's a lot of money. When I was a bacher, I used to jump on these offers, but 8 kids, I didn't jump on it. And then after I've wrapped up my tefillin, I'm finishing davening, they make another announcement and they said, we have 2 more seats we need to give up. And we're willing to offer $1,600 per person. So that's it. I jumped over there. I went to the check-in counter and I said, I'm willing to do it, $3,200. She said, yes. And I said, when's the next flight? So she looks, and she says, the next flight is the next morning. So I said to my wife, forget it. That's it. And 2 other people took those tickets. I said, there's no way I'll do it. But then I thought to myself, I told my wife, you know what? If they would have upped it even by a couple $100 more, I would have rented a car and driven to New York. Because here's the message from the story. There are 3 things, the Chachamim say, that change a person. One is alcohol, right? You drink enough alcohol, it will change you. It will definitely change you. If you drank alcohol, didn't change you, you didn't drink enough. The other thing is money. If money will always change you, right? By me, $1,600, $3,200, but $200 more, that's it. I would have changed. I would have driven to New York, figured it out. And the third thing is Torah. Chassidus. If you learn Chassidus and it didn't change your life, you didn't learn enough. With Chassidus, we are able to permeate the Lekus B'Pshitis u'Metzias B'Yitzchakos. If we didn't do it yet, we didn't spread enough Chassidus. As the Rebbe said in Chav Ches Nissen, the famous Maimer Chav Ches Nissen, Tafshim Mem Ches, that I have done everything in my power to bring Mashiach. Now it's up to you. The Rebbe looked ahead. And especially today when we are still in isolation, every person is his own boss, his own leader to our communities. If we just learn enough Chassidus, we can permeate the world with a Lekus in a way that it's a Lekus B'Pshitis u'Metzias B'Yitzchakos. Because Chassidus changes the world. If you have learned Chassidus and it didn't change you, you haven't learned enough Chassidus. Just like the money story, $3,200. It's just not your limit. Everybody has a limit. You learn more Chassidus, it will change you. By the way, Moshe Rabbeinu, and I don't have the Maimer in front of me, but it's the Maimer, look at Daled. Moshe Rabbeinu looked at our generation and he was humbled. There's many explanations to this, why Moshe Rabbeinu was so humble, but one of the explanations is that he looked at our generation, coronavirus generation, and he sees what Mesiras Nefesh we have for Torah and mitzvahs Chassidus. And he was humbled, he was blown away. Right? Moshe Rabbeinu, the Noisen HaTorah, the guy who taught us what it means to daven, the guy who gave us the Torah, the guy who taught us what it means to Avas Yisrael, he was the one who looked at our generation and he was absolutely blown away. He was humbled by this whole generation. The Eibishter gives the koiches, the Eibishter gives the power. He gives you exactly what you need. I'll tell a story to explain this. When I first moved in Shlichus to Manhattan, we were willing to go anywhere in the whole world on Shlichus. If it's Siberia or South Africa or London, we're willing to go anywhere. We happen to be Manhattan. So when I moved here, and the cost of is exorbitant, so somebody introduced me to another person. We'll call him Yecheskel. So this guy Yecheskel, I went to his office for the first time. And I come to his office, he's got like 3 secretaries, it's busy, people coming back and forth, back and forth. It was literally the month I moved in here, or 2 months later, I remember, 15 years ago, 13 years ago. And Yecheskel, he's busy in his office. He makes me wait in his office for 20 minutes. And I'm like, should I stay? Should I leave? What should I do? No. After 20 minutes, he says, okay, Rabbi, what can I do for you? So I start telling him, we just moved here. And we're here to open Chabad, and we want to make programs and a shul, blah, blah, blah. 20 seconds into my talk, he cuts me off. He says to me, tafsik, stop talking nonsense. Tell me what you want. So the guy looks me in the eye, like, what do you want? So I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, what should I, quick thought for a second. And I said, you know what? I want $25,000. That's what I calculated, what I needed then to open this Chabad to last me for the next couple of months. I said, I need $25,000. So I thought he was going to kill me, throw me out of his office. This guy I never met before in my life. He looks at me and he says to me, you got it. No problem. You write out a check, $25,000. But then he says to me, I want you to make a shir Torah in my office here every week. And that was like a double jackpot because I made a shir with him in all his office. And there's people that I know, till today, I'm very, very close to them, all from that shir, which lasted, I remember, 4 or 5 years at least. And he himself's a close friend. Anyway, 10 years later, we were reminiscing about the first time we met. So me and Yecheskel, we're good buddies, good friends. We were reminiscing about the first time we met. And I reminded him that he was a little crazy, like asked me, what do you want? And I said, I've never asked somebody $25,000 the first minute I met him, but I really needed it. I needed it. It was like a pikuach nefesh, so to speak, So he says to me, I remember that. I remember. He says, I was becoming not religious, but I was starting to learn about mitzvah of tzedakah during that time. And the months before our meeting, I started putting aside meiser money. And I was going to empty my meiser account and write a check to you on that day. When I asked you, what do you want? I meant like, what do you want? Like, how much do you want? I was convinced I was writing a check to you. I didn't think anything else. So I said, how much money was in the account then? He said, I was going to write you a check for $100,000 that day. So I was like, oh my God. So I lost $75,000, right? He says, I was thinking, should I give him the 100,000 or, you only asked for 25,000. So I was like thinking to myself, should I give him the whole 100 or should I give him just 25 and give 75 somewhere else? In the end, I decided I'm giving you just 25,000. And that was the lesson for me. You see, the Eibishter is Zon Mefares Sakol. The Eibishter gives us a koiches to do everything. The power to permeate Kedusha and holiness in the entire universe. The Eibishter gives us the koiches. But he only gives us what we need. And at that moment, all I needed was $25,000. So that's all he gave me. That's it. That's what we needed. That's what he gave. I just want to finish off here. 1 second. Hold on. 1 second. Oh, I lost the Zoom. Hold on. Okay, share screen again. I just want to show you the end of this point over here. Okay, so we learned. So to sum up what we learned so far, Rabbi Kiva says that they saw what is normally heard. They heard what is normally seen. Rabbi Shmuel says no, they saw what is seen, and they heard what is heard. Okay. So the Rebbe explains here, and I just want to show this one. Finish off with this. Was ist Sif Chesed again? It's Likutei Sichos Chelik Vav. Was ist the time? Was das Rabbi Shmuel is as the Tachlis Eila steht in Roin Anir Shemenish. But why does Rabbi Shmuel hold they saw what is seen, and why does Rabbi Kiva hold they saw what is heard? So is there beer in them? Rabbi Shmuel is given a Kohen Gadol. Rabbi Shmuel was a Kohen Gadol. Was Inyan a Kohen is doch B'Toldos B'Tiboy is Kadosh Hu. Lelikov, Rabbi Shmuel is a Kohen Gadol, so he's holy to Hashem. Doseis, that means a Zayin Avoda is in the Moifon for Avodas HaTzadikim. A Tzadik, his Avoda is bringing Elikus Lemato. Milemalo Lemato. The Riber nemter on lefi inyan of the Siddur Vasa. As the Tachlis Eila B'Shteit in Royan Nir V'Shem Mesh. Therefore, the Tachlis Eila comes to him is to see what is seen and hear what is heard. Mamshich Zayin Elikus in world, to bring Elikus into the world. Visi Shteit Lemata in Nir Gedorim, as world is in its Gedorim. This is what the Rebbe taught us. How do we make the world normal again? What Rabbi Shmuel says here, bring Elokus into the world. As it says, when Mashiach comes, there's going to be a stone you're going to stand on. And if you don't You're not permeated with Torah. The stone is going to shout at you, why are you standing on me? Who gives you the right to stand on me? That's what the tzaddik is, bringing Likus Lamata. On the other hand, who is Rabbi Akiva? The avodah of Rabbi Akiva is given to for tshuva. Rabbi Akiva was a Baal tshuva. Hat gestammt from Gerim, he came from converts. Und hat ungeheuer lernen in Torah Tzarboim Shani. He only started 40 years old. And the River, seine avodah given to for tshuva. He wanted to go out of himself. He wanted to go out of the world. As we find, the Rebbe says, we have been gefin kol yom of Rabbi Akiva got tshuka. So Moshe Nefesh, all he wanted was to have Mesiras Nefesh. Right? In the end, that's actually what happened to him. That he was one of the 10 martyrs. He died there. So that's the reason why Rabbi Shmuel holds what he holds and Rabbi Akiva holds what he holds. That brings us to the end of the formal part. Does anybody have any questions? Anybody want to unmute themselves, talk something? Let me just check this chat over here. Anything in the chat here? Nothing in the chat. Okay, I mean, I hope you enjoyed. I hope I didn't put anybody to sleep over here. I guess enjoy. Have a wonderful day. Have a good and wonderful Shavuos.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, I'll send you the link. Yes. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Let's just send you the link for the mimer. Hold on. I just sent the link for the mimer, whoever wants it.